Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath. And today I just had a quick message. I just finished up with clients, and I wanted to talk to you about those of you who have dealt with something where someone has left you before you've left them. And you think, what? How does that even work? But if you clicked on this video, you probably resonated with the emotion, the sentiment, or the title. What happens is sometimes in our relationships, and I'm not just talking about the more toxic ones that we can sometimes be in, we will have people that can't imagine that we would be a good pair, or that we might be well suited for partnership, or someone has really low self-esteem. You may be unaware. You may think that they present very well and that they're okay, but they feel somehow inferior to you. Someone with an inferiority complex will sabotage a relationship. This is why we talk about self-care being so important, and to thine own self being true, and healing yourself. Hello, hey, Masonius, if I'm saying that right. um when that happens, what we will do is sometimes have people that will extricate themselves from a relationship that never was going to end, or that the other partner had no idea that it was going to end. I counsel a lot of people through this. I've experienced it myself. I think if you've lived long enough, we all have, where someone, that's why I put the location as an imagined reality or a conjured reality, because it's not the truth of the relationship. And again, the baseline here for this is just normalcy. Okay. So in a normal relationship, if someone has an inferiority complex, and you're not loving yourself and filling yourself up, and you're not coming in as a whole partner, you may think that you're not good enough for the other partner. So you'll find ways to sabotage it, to get out of it, and to quote unquote leave them energetically before they can leave you. This also happens when you're feeling like jealous of your partner, and or maybe they're very attractive and you're thinking, oh my goodness, how are they going to stay with me? You might find a reason to sabotage it. In the narcissistic empath dynamic, the discard happens prior to the relationship ever ending. They're already sourcing a new supply, grooming a new supply, and the rest of it, so that they can discard you. And even if, guys, in your narcissist empath dynamics, you never had any intention to leave them, and that will be something that they will do. All narcissists do that. But I know in some of the situations, I've had it happen in regular relationships once, and I have had it happen in narcissistic dynamics always, because that is the nature of the narcissistic dynamic. And then I got wise and hip to it. But the thing that you need to know about it is that it stems from their insecurities. Also, something happens with the flying monkey and the narc and empath dynamic, where people are maybe spying on you. Guys, just a heads up, I'm not trying to make you paranoid, but flying monkeys are researchers, private investigators, and secret sneaky spies. So what they will do is maybe observe your life, and they'll observe it through their lens. So they'll take back some information to the narcissist, just to inflame it if they are being a good flying monkey, which flying monkeys are nothing but like stooges, right? Like people that act on the behalf of someone who they feel has more power. The narcissist is more powerful in that dynamic. So depending on who is who, they will do that. And if it's not just a flying monkey, it could be the other supply doing the same thing. Someone that's actually, hey, good morning, K Sala, Softwater, and Nolan. The gang's all here. I love it. It's like roll call. I love seeing you guys pop in. It's awesome. So what will happen here is that they may start to instigate to unravel a relationship. And even if they don't do much instigating to unravel it, your person, whomever the narcissist is, or your ex, may imagine that you could cheat on them, because that is their nature. I have a video up here about being bad minded. If someone is bad minded, that means that they will be, that means that, well, go watch the video, but essentially it means that they naturally think paranoid thoughts and or think the worst, because it's what they do. I think this is pretty normal to understand that when someone's cheating, they will usually project and accuse you of cheating. In situations I've had, I've definitely had that happen, where someone was projecting every single thing they were doing onto me, that I wasn't doing any of it. And most of us are often very perplexed, because we can't imagine, because we believe in fidelity, and or we believe in integrity or a code of some sort. I don't know that everybody's always perfect, and like I say, guys, I counsel people all over the world every day. None of us are living perfect cookie cutter relationships, but the thing about it is we do have our own rules, structures, and codes within inside of it. Anyway, I digress. If someone breaks up with you, first, it's because they're worried about getting hurt. That's the other thing you need to know. Usually, someone that will try to break up with you first, and I'm not saying like beat you to the punch, but someone who's plotting and scheming is dealing with abandonment issues. And they have a mother wound, usually, where they haven't really healed the idea of nurturance and that it can be a continuous thing. So they try to take control over it. So they will sabotage the relationship. I remember having a very distinct moment where my mind blew open and I was talking to someone at the conclusion of our relationship, and she said to me to go travel and have fun with whatever friend that she was triggered by and jealous of. And I realized instantaneously with one simple text that she had created a shitstorm tornado in both of our lives, because meaning if any relationship needs to separate, you will no longer vibrate together, guys, and you will separate, right? But it doesn't always have to be at its highest level of toxicity unless you're not willing to listen and get the lesson. And so I was looking at what she had created by her conjuring and by her imagining, and I remember thinking, wow, you did all of this because you felt that I was going to leave you, which was never the energy. Never any of my intention. Not only did you do all of this because you felt I was going to leave you, you began to live a life that you did enjoy and have fun with and got carried away with and were infatuated with and in love with, but it was all predicated upon a lie. And that lie didn't stem from my behavior, and that's what I want you guys to know here today. It didn't stem from yours either. It stemmed from their insecurities and their fears of abandonment and their wounding and their demons and their things that they didn't want to address or ever heal. Empaths, if you're here, Earth Angels, if you're here, you've tried to help people in your life heal these things. We're never in anybody's life haphazardly or by accident. And I want you to understand that that is where that energy came from, of them leaving you before you left them. With the narcissist, it's a fun game that they'll play because they always want to have a bunch of people that they're grooming on the side. That makes them very happy. Narcissists have big hoe energy. They do anything for clout. They're chasing, and this is my favorite thing, they're chasing Dollar General clout, guys. They're like going so hard. It's not even Dollar Tree. The irony of that is with Dollar General clout, maybe another quick live, you are in this position where you're working your ass off for something that's going to cost you more than it's even worth. At the Dollar Tree, at least everything's a dollar. In the Dollar General, it's not all a dollar. And, you know, maybe what is it? You can rationalize the value for the cost, but that's what they chase. Dollar General clout. They give away so much of their power for so little. But in any case, if you've had someone do that with you, it's hard not to take it personal because nobody likes to be broken up with. And it's weird too, guys. If someone leaves you before you can leave them, most of the time it's emotional ghosting in the relationship. It's when you feel like you're in a relationship and you're alone, where you're no longer getting the support, there is no longer a reciprocity. It could be because you're giving it to somebody else. With a narcissist dynamic, that's usually the case. They're feeding into the new supply. They have to groom them nice to make sure they're going to stick beside them. And so that's something that's happening. But in just a toxic relationship or just a regular relationship that falls apart, that isn't fraught with toxicity, that emotional abandonment is crushing. I remember feeling it the first time with my first love. And I remember us being in the house and doing things, and we'd really been a partnership, and it wasn't always healthy, but she wasn't a narcissist by any stretch. And I remember feeling so lonely sitting right on the couch with her. That's what that feels like when someone leaves you before they've left. And soon thereafter, we did separate. We got back together several times after, but that was the first time I knew that something is really broken here with us that hadn't been before. And that's what I want you to pay attention to. Pay attention to those red flags before you or your partner walks out the door. Sometimes someone who emotionally ghosts you is pushing you into a position to leave them because they have found whatever they feel like is their new thing, fling, or happiness. When the person later in my life said to me, she said to me when she said, go travel, have fun, be with this person, she said, I get it now. And what she was saying was, I feel I have love. I feel like I'm happy. I have a partner that I feel like is my tribe. That's how I'm parsing it to you guys because that's how I taught it to her. So I think that's how she compartmentalized it. I'll never know. But she was a narcissist, y'all, a covert narc. What she was really saying was the new supply is better than you, and I want you to feel that. So understand that will happen too. And she put me into a position where I couldn't stay. She pushed me away, and she did it very purposely and methodically, where I had to walk because of my own dignity and integrity and my own self-efficacy. I could not allow her to demolish or diminish any more parts of me. And that's what it means to be left in a relationship before they actually leave. No matter who actually is the one who ends the relationship, you can look back at the year or two before it's over and see who was leading the charge energetically with the ending of a thing. And that is where you can kind of relieve yourself of guilt. In that moment, even though I had a lot of processing to do, when she said to me, I get it now, I thought, wow, all of this was over your petty insecurities because you couldn't do what I did, which was restrain myself and or have boundaries or whatever the case may be. But that didn't stop the energy from being what it was. It put me in that position to be the bad guy. Your narcissist would love that because it really fuels, what is it called? The smear campaign in the community that usually happens, right? So, and in any relationship, smear campaigns happen. We are very attached to the narcissistic empath dynamic as we are all expressing it and experiencing it and understanding our childhoods and some of our toxic friendships and boss relationships and things like that. But the truth of the matter is all relationships, somebody has to be the bad guy. It just is what it is. We all play out archetypes. I'm going to be teaching a lot about archetypes here coming up recently, as my angels have really been working with this and working with me on this. I will post a picture in my community page if I can find it. I took a picture of a reading I did when all of this happened a couple years ago. And it was of a person that was in my life that was like Glenda the Good Witch. And then there was the evil femme fatale kind of, and I wouldn't even call them a femme fatale. You have to be kind of like really blazingly intelligent and cunning. They were just kind of reckless and sloppy. So different. I don't know. They were a femme. They were a femme. But what I'm telling you is that I took a picture of a reading because I was saying, angels, I need clarity. And guys, I always tell you, physician, heal thyself. We're here doing the work and we're a community, and I'm going to read your comments all in a minute here, guys, before I log off. But I do the work myself. So I will read for myself. I will pray. I will intuit for myself. I was very confused, as any F-boy will leave you or any narcissist will leave you, because you are confused and don't maybe want to go and you don't understand why you're feeling this way. Why, and you don't, and you're confused. Like, wait, they're pushing me away. Do they want me to leave? I don't understand. Am I supposed to stick and stay? I will say this quick message. The longer you stick and stay, the more respect they lose for you. By the time you're done, you're an utter doormat. Does that make sense? And that's why I was like, oh, girl, I got to get out of here. I had to redneck and knives and get out of there and hide, because I was like, no, this is not who I am. It's so funny. I am in I'm on location, y'all. I'm always traveling, and right now I'm traveling, and there is a thing here, and I might do a whole video on it. It says, remember who you are, never surrender who you are. And it's very personal to me, but I'll talk about that later. You have to leave those relationships that cause that imbalance for you, because it will cause you to surrender who you are. When you're dealing with an F-boy, they cause confusion and they waste your time. They steal your time. They're always like, I got to get my life together. I'm cultivating this other thing. Just give me more time. Whether it's an affair you're in or whatever the case may be, it's never going to work out the way that you think. And so you are pushed eventually to be the person that's right on the brink. So either you leave or you stay. And I don't want you to think that you're a bad guy if it plays out that way. No, you did what you needed to do. Anyway, back to the reading. So I took a picture because it was so profound. I'd never done anything like it. The top row, I think I'll leave a description in the community page. But the top row was of the person that was in my life previously. The cards speak for themselves. If you watch the video, I go check that out if I can find that picture. The second row, the cards spoke for themselves as well, and I knew exactly who was who. Meaning, I asked first, this person, and my angels were clearly pointing me in a right direction. And so I understood what the next thing to do was, which was to, excuse me, take up my cross, meaning my burden. And that relationship had become a burden for me emotionally, physically, and energetically. And it was time to go. But I didn't go because I wanted to go. I went to save my life. I went out of self-respect. I went because it was causing me too much strife. But it all was orchestrated out of someone else's shadow side. That's what I want you guys to hear. If someone leaves you before you leave them, they gave in to fear. Whatever the fears may be, a myriad of fears: fear of abandonment themselves, fear of lack of communication, fear of physical intimacy, whatever it was. Instead of communicating, they started to create and conjure, like it says on the location, an imagined reality. And then they lived out a reality, because our brain cannot tell the difference. All of us right now, take a second, Earth Angels, to imagine that you just bit into a freshly cut lemon. It's bright yellow and effervescent, and the oils are bursting even as you bite. Those little pops of oils you can see coming out of the zest, and you bite into it. Right there. Did you feel the mouth? If you did the exercise, just like me, you got salivation in your salivatory glands right at the back of your throat. If you were to touch the bottom of your chin, right there, both fingers, like yeah, your middle finger and your thumb, right there, it hit you. You could taste that lemon. The reason you could taste it is because our brains don't know the difference. It's a Pavlovian response to something. If someone grew up with fear and abandonment and lack, then they will have a Pavlovian response when they intuit that that's what they're receiving in their life, and they may act on that. If it's a narcissist, they're doing it purposely to cause you pain, so don't misconstrue the two. If it's a normal person in a relationship that just hasn't done a lot of the heavy lifting work and unpacking, then leaning into that fear is something they will do. A narcissist is malicious, pernicious, insidious, and sociopathic. They do it on purpose, and they let you know about it. People that are good cheaters, trust me, I counsel cheaters all day, okay? And what I mean by that is not to say that like it's just wildly encouraged, but it is to say that I'm a realist after the work that I do. I know what people do. I know who we are in the dark, right? I know who we are. And so the thing is, there are some people that never want to be caught cheating and they never get caught. They have multi-year affairs and it's never ever detected. There are some people that want to hurt their spouses, and narcissists are among that ilk. So they want you to know that this other friend, this other person, this other lover, this other whatever is what you should be worried about, because they want to put you in the position of what they are, which is feeling fear and lack. So they'll do a lot of gaslighting and it pushes you to get off track, and then the relationship will get off track. And then they look at you like, aren't you going to have my back? But they are being deceptive, whomever they are, because they've already left. They've already begun to attack, and it was an insidious, covert, quiet attack. You didn't know the evil thoughts they were thinking. You're talking to them. You're thinking it's a normal day. And then you hear a slice, a cut, a jab, something that they say. And you're like, whoa, where did that come from? That's not you. It's not. It's the person that's already ghosted you, that doesn't give a fuck about you anymore because they've already made their exit plan. They're already out the door. That's what it means to be left before you leave. So then you leave. You physically pick up your stuff and go, empath. And then there's a guilt trip about abandonment and why you should come back and how they never thought it would end like that. It's an entire orchestrated hoax. They push you right into that place because they thought that that's where they could gather the most sympathy and that's where they would have the most grace. Call foul, even if it's just for yourself. Maybe the community doesn't have to know. Maybe no one around them knows. They know and you know. And that's what I want you to resonate with deeply, is letting go of any kind of bad feelings you have. I felt none. The second she said that to me, this was years ago, guys. The second she said to me, I understand, like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth, I also understand that it was a plan. She had planned it the whole time, as punishment, as retribution, as whatever, for whatever crazy thing popped up in her crazy mind. I'll never know. And you don't need to know. Don't rake yourself over the coals trying to figure out the mind of a narcissist or an ex that's just not awesome. Don't do it. If you know in your soul that you did what it took to make anything work and went above and beyond, and if you're here, my empaths, my babies, my earth angels, you did it, okay? I know y'all could probably turn my head with some of the stories you did to stay in someone's bed or to stay in someone's life or to help them deplete their strife and to transmute their energy. But then they look back at you and said, this isn't the place you wanted to be. No, this is called head games and effery. So let yourself off the hook, guys. Know you did what it took, guys. And know that you don't have to get gaslit into believing their lies. They left. And then you reacted to protect yourself and move forward and to release an attachment to something that never had the opportunity, the destiny, or the ability to really grow, and even more so, to nourish you properly. All right, guys, let me take a look and see what it is that we have been saying here. All right, so we have some hellos. Quick question, Kaysella said. What does it mean when they start copying you? Example, I have locks, and now the person has locks. I have always been into yoga, and now this person is into yoga. Great question, Kaysala. Woo, girl. Oh, I had to adjust myself and erect my posture for the yoga stance. Um, Kesala, when that happens, they what do they say? Imitation is the best form of flattery. Well, I notice when people start copying you, if it's done, and if it's a toxic person, and this is not just your bestie. Here's the thing: we are a primitive bunch, aren't we? We're all tribal, right? I call us the tribe, the collective. You hear that bandied about if you're into tarot or anything like that. Even in Christianity and any faith, we're all considered a collective. We are tribal species. So, excuse me, what is it saying? Monkey see, monkey do, right? So, and that's been scientifically tested about behavioral patterns that are picked up by shared groups and communities. So, okay, Salo, the reason that that's happening, if it's toxic, it's because someone who is toxic, especially a narcissist, is jealous of the traits that you have that are positive, not just your emotional ones, but clearly with your locks, your physical ones as well. They wish that they could be you, and so they will single white female you, quote unquote, which is a movie. Unless your person is a, well, I don't know. Well, locks are for everybody now, I guess. But they will single white female you. So even if this is a person of ethnicity, Kesala, what this person is doing is trying to get a little bit of your essence and your juju. It's always very laughable when people start to copy you. To me, I never have felt like intimidated by it. I know that I'm a trendsetter. Earth Angels, I know that you're trendsetters. We are. That's literally why we're here. Like why we incarnated, why we got kicked around for so long in the beginning of this first half of our lives was literally just to shine and to stun on people later. So of course she copied your locks because they're luscious and magical and well taken care of. Hers won't look the same though, will they? And that's what I'm gonna say. Y'all, I'm that friend. I'm ride or die for you and you only, okay? So no, her locks won't look the same, but she's copying you because she wants to emulate you because we only want to emulate greatness. Can we talk? For a minute, Kesala. We only emulate greatness or things that we admire or aspire to be. And that's why people will start to copy you. But that's a good question. Let me see what else is here. All right. Kesala. She says, I created a yoga playlist and now this person made one. I know I shouldn't be snooping, but I've been feeling this person's energy. I also know this is petty. I can tell this is just a front to appear a certain way to certain people. I got upset when I noticed it. Yeah, it's really Tanisha. Hey, girl. Hey, my amazing friend. Good to see you. And I loved your dragonfly thing. I saw the premiere. I'm gonna go check it out. I love dragonflies. I can't wait to see that. Yeah, I'm like, I don't think you've been doing such a great job. Guys, go check out Tanisha has a channel and she is amazing and magical. So, and she's a friend of the community, but let me go back. So what you're saying, Kesela is that it's okay that you get upset. That's the thing. People gaslight you and then they don't think you're going to get upset when you have a reaction to noticing their overly underhanded behavior, like their overtly underhanded behavior. It's okay for you to get upset, but you have to realize that you are greatness, or there's something about you that she's aspiring to mimic and replicate, and maybe even take. Some people try to snatch your whole identity. Girl, I had a girl just try to do that to me a couple years ago. Like literally tried to become a spiritualist when she never had a leg to stand on and could have cared less. And anyway, but that's okay. It wasn't for me to try to hold her accountable for that. She's being held accountable right now as we speak. She's being held accountable. And that's the thing. People in any community and tribe can always tell the honorable person from the thief. They always know what is true and they always know when to suspend their belief. So don't worry about having to like stick up for yourself and be like, I did this first. It's going to be known who the real person is. You know, it reminds me of Eminem. Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? Whoever the real authentic person is, it's always clearly shown. The emperor has no clothes. I know with this person specifically that I dealt with that was similar to yours, Kesala. She always postured that she had boss energy and that she was a bossy bee, and she said she loved powerful women, you know, like activists all over the world and Iranian women that were pop stars and all kinds of stuff. It was always interesting and I always loved it and supported it and thought it was wonderful. It's because it's what she wished she could be. Because when I watched her under pressure, she never was any of those things. She didn't have the capacity, she didn't have the emotional intelligence or the maturity. She could never be the thing that she thought that she was. She was projecting. So she tried to steal a carbon copy of what I was. But that was hard earned. Authenticity is hard earned, right? Usually comes after being burned. And if you've been cloistered, sheltered, protected, and enabled, then you never have learned. Yeah. So that's what happens when people copy you. Let's go ahead. Softwater says, "Oh my God, exactly what I went through. I felt so alone in my marriage. I finally discarded him." Softwater, I gotta say, I completely understand. I felt the same way. I felt so alone in a connection, and the person was gaslighting me to my face. "You're not alone in the connection." I kept checking in. "Are we okay? Is everything okay?" And doing all the life-saving triaging things that you know that we do. Softwater, we are the best booze, aren't we? And she kept lying and lying and lying and lying because she was cultivating something else. She was denying and denying. What she was doing was wanting me to stay until she could secure the bag with that other person, not realizing that that would be the one bag that she was never going to be in charge of or secure. It doesn't mean that she couldn't get it or go back for more. It means that it was running her. Does that make sense? So that was my experience, but I totally understand what it is to be there and be alone. Let's clarify and see. "When I finally reached my breaking point," Softwater says, "from carrying all the weight financially and emotionally, he said, 'I knew you would leave me.'" I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because that's exactly what my partner essentially did. She said, "Thank you so much. I've been battling with so much guilt. Why do you feel so much rage towards the narcissistic towards the end of the relationship?" My goodness, great questions. Softwater, I want to alleviate you of the guilt. I am here literally for that. When my angels say to get on here and talk to you guys, I'm here. Whether I got a full face of makeup or it has to be a dark live, I'm here. I'm going to do exactly what the assignment is because I understand the assignment, and so did you. When he said, I knew you would leave me, it's because it was a projection and a conjuring. Exactly what I said in the location. My angels always guide me. Those locations are never about where I'm at. It's always about what I feel and what the message is. Okay. It's another way. It's a teaching tool, right? It's the old teacher in me to tie in the message and to get the point home. Imagine reality. So he was imagining the whole time and creating, and it was a self-fulfilling prophecy that you were going to leave him and that you were too good for him. That was very similar to what the person, which was a weird dichotomy in my situation, because she was trying to shun me because of race and weight and other things that she thought that I wasn't aware of that she was doing, but she was doing it. But she was actually insecure because of my intellect and my energy, and that was something she talked about from 20 years back. She was always like, "You're so smart," and she always felt insecure about that. And then she dated people where I watched that they were absolutely debaucherous and low vibrational to her, where they talked down to her. She was smart. It wasn't that she wasn't, but because she didn't feel that she was, she made it a self-fulfilling prophecy that I was going to leave her for someone smarter or better, whatever. Never was going to. Never had an intention to. Broke my heart to do it. Probably broke your heart to do it too, Softwater. He said that to you because it was his own self-fulfilling prophecy. It was not anything that he really felt that you were going to do. It's that he feared it because he knew his behavior was bad. Does that make sense? That's one of the things that I realized as I've been counseling clients. So many of the partners of those clients knew that they were being a full horrible person to whomever the other partner was, and they knew that if they were being treated that way, they would never tolerate it. They would never stick and stay. So that's why he said he knew you were going to leave me, because he did know, because he knew this is utter BS and craziness. I wouldn't pay for everything. I wouldn't carry everything. I wouldn't still show up and be judged and then have to be a sexual partner and have rejection mind games being played and having people, talk about what they're going to do and not be able to show up and come through. Isn't that so disappointing when someone talks so much ish about their prowess and magic and then, girl, there's no magic. But anyway, I digress. That was just a funny thing in my head. I'm like, oh, wow. So that's the evolution after 20 years? I'm shocked. That was fascinating. But anyway, that will happen. They do that. They really will kind of like, like make you feel that you're the one. And that's because narcissists do not take accountability ever. And usually in a crappy breakup, a regular partner that doesn't have mental illness isn't taking too much responsibility either. That is not our nature as humans. If we haven't evolved to take responsibility, we take excuse me, we take responsibility because we are empaths, and sometimes we take too much responsibility. And that's exactly why this video has to be made, because your angels want you to hear that. Relieve yourself of the guilt, alleviate yourself, and stop taking responsibility. He put you on the shelf. That's what they just said to me. They said, tell her he put you on a shelf and then he just expected you to stay there and be pretty. And it wasn't even like that's not everybody's situation. Maybe that's yours. But I know that in my situation, it was just like, yeah, just be here and hold my hand and make me feel better when the big bad world makes me cry. And don't you ever complain. And yeah, it was a weird dynamic. The reason you feel so much rage towards a narcissist is because you've been bottling it up. It's one of the reasons that I made the video Tear Soup. I struggled with my grief and how I was going to transmute it. And people often tell you when you start like getting your words out and start using your throat chakra and communicating about the abuse that you suffered, whether it was physical, mental, emotional, mind games, F-boy, whatever ramification or whatever line in delineation, whatever flavor of abuse you suffered, whatever crazy person, sociopath, narcissistic, covert, malignant, regular, run-of-the-mill, bad ex, F-boy, whatever you did, what will happen is you will feel duped and that enrages you, but you will also hold in your throat. And people will try to counsel you and say, stop talking so much about this. Maybe they're sick of it. That's cool. I don't give up. Go check out the video, Tear Soup. You have to get that out as much as you need to get that out. Otherwise, it poisons you. Imagine me still being enraged and hateful 2-3 years later after old girl did me how she did me. I could not be a facilitator and a teacher and a healer if I did that. Physician, heal thyself. That is why the wounded warrior is here. So that rage is part of what takes you out of your fear. That's what you need to understand. As empaths, we are taught to fear our own voice. The empath is born because they are observing how to make a better choice. And what that means is you have a parent usually that doesn't make you feel safe to express yourself. It's a suppressive parent. And we're not talking about going clear in Scientology, but it's not a suppressive person, but a suppressive parent that makes you have to gauge the room for your safety. Hear me out here. So it means that in order to navigate around someone who's crazy, you as a child start beginning to figure out how to navigate abuse and make other people feel good, and you lean into codependency and people pleasing. So you over people please because you knew what you were dealing with a narcissist, and you gave everything probably till you were completely empty, and then there's still a discard or there's still an ending, and you did everything you could to stop it, and you even did some pretending. That's one of the things. Message, a lot of us pretended that we didn't understand what was happening right in front of our face, right? So that's the thing. You will scream into the night after that, and you will be filled with rage. I was so angry when I realized that I was in the clutches of a narcissist, and I truly, y'all, when I say truly, honestly, really did not feel like this was going to end the way it was. It wasn't like I always knew she was not a good human and a terrible person, and she's rather selfish, deeply intrinsically selfish. I just thought, we all have people like that in our lives, and empaths were all very tolerant, ultra tolerant, I would say. So when you experience the rage, it's because you've been duped. And they had duping delight. You kind of look back at things in the middle of fights or in the dark of the night, and you're like, they were licking their chops. They loved it. They were getting away with murder. They were treating me terribly, and they slept like a baby. Rage will happen. I never worried about who was going to think I was crazy if I made 700 videos about the one thing. And we see a lot of people that suffer narcissistic abuse start whole careers after it. We see a lot of them. Associated Direct is one of the channels I think I remember watching him when he was really small. And it's not because they're just doing it. Because after a while, what happens is, this is your healing too. And that's why I want you to lean into your rage. Okay? Because this is where the healing happens. When you get that out, it's empowering. It's that Tawanda moment. Thank you, Belinda, for the correction ahead of time. I think before I had said Topanga, but I think it's Tawanda from Fried Green Tomatoes. It's that moment where you realize your divine feminine magic and the fact that you were a bad babe the whole time and that someone was wildly taking advantage. And you are so pissed that you could rip their flesh from their body. Not recommended. I recommend highly that you just separate and discard, as you said, the person so that you can save their face. That's what my person didn't realize. I was like, oh, homie, this is the best for both of us. Trust me so much. Because and not in any physical violent way, but the rage that you feel. And some people do feel it physically violent. Snapped is a real show and it exists because people go into rages of violence. What do they call it? A crime of passion. But you must have been close close to the edge because I'm getting a lot of energy about that. So I don't know what was going on with you with that. But what I'm saying here is that that rage is a normal reaction to being duped by someone, to having someone lie to your face, to being gaslit. And you get to express it as long as you want to. And the reason I say that is because you were quiet for a long time, weren't you? How long did you watch something happen or try to pretend it wasn't happening or get gaslit out of believing it was happening? And you were patient with someone and you talked to them. You said, hey, here's my boundary. Could you not do that again? And then they cried fake crocodile tears because they used emotions to manipulate you because they know empaths, that's what they can do. And it was this whole big circus and circle. And then you take it back and you let them come back in. They slither back in and it's the same behavior but worse because now they don't respect you because they got over. You must be stupid, so you deserve this. I think that that will whip up a rage. You're allowed to have that. That rage, I say, rage breaks you out of a cage. That's just something that came to me. Maybe I need to make a video about it. Rage breaks you out of your cage. That's what happened in my case for sure. That's what I see happen with clients all over the world. Rage breaks them out of their cage. You are empowered to be a bitch. I'm a bitch. I'm a lover. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a sinner. I'm a saint. Okay, that reminds me of that song. I think it was Meredith something. I know it was Meredith Baxter. Meredith Baxter, Family Ties. Family Ties. Yeah, Family Ties. I don't know why that's coming up. Meredith Baxter. Meredith Baxter, she's blonde. She acted in a lot of movies and Lifetime movies as well. High drama, Family Ties, Living a Truth, Secret Life. That's a message for somebody here because Meredith came out years later as a lesbian. So anyway, I don't know who that's for, but Meredith something, I think, is the name of the lady that sings that song, I'm a bitch, I'm a lover. In the tarot, that's the Queen of Swords. That's when someone pushes us to the point where we have to become the ultimate bitch. The Queen of Swords, air sign, cerebral, quick cutting words, rage. Okay? Now, express that rage to get yourself out of the cage. After the rage comes understanding. I don't know which direction it is. Maybe that's a lesson I need to really pray about the channel for you and download and teach really more in depth. But after the rage, in my case specifically, I noticed came the acceptance. Yeah, that's what happened after the rage. I got angry and then I was like, I get it. I totally get it. And then I started to go through all the stages of grief, which included denial and rage and all that stuff. And also, I will say this, you're grieving. Thank you. They took me a long way to get to the answer. You're grieving. That's why rage happens, because it is one of the stages of grief. Anger. Okay? Anger, rage, synonymous, same. So it is one of the stages of grief. You're grieving a relationship that was an illusion, right? Imagine reality, just like the location says. You're grieving something that didn't really exist, that you put a lot of work into and that you thought would subsist, but instead it became, to you, excuse me, not only a thorn in your side, but it became a great divide. And you thought, how did we get here? How did we get here? Nobody's supposed to be here. But you ended up there, and that's why you feel rage, because you're in a relationship by yourself. Like you said, you carry the money financially, and a lot of partners carry the financial brunt, but I see that as an emotional carry. So just pay attention to that. A lot of us emotionally do way too much empaths for our partners, and we don't let them do the heavy lifting. Partnerships that I exist in now, I have people that are reciprocal with me. If you aren't reciprocating, excuse me, if there's not reciprocity, then I'm not involved. It's not anything I have to even waver. If I even feel like the reciprocity drops and lags in a certain area, we can have like slow Wi-Fi. If I feel like there's any buffering regarding reciprocity, then I'm addressing it quickly, expeditiously. It'll never be something that happens again. And that's why the rage is there. It's there to facilitate you never wanting to feel that poorly again or that taken advantage of again. Okay, so that's the situation regarding rage. Let's take a look here. Kisela says, thank you. I've been waiting to ask you this. It's a guy from my past. I also had a former supervisor to do this to me. Thank you for taking time to answer my question. You're welcome, Softwater. Meredith Baxter also played Betty Broderick. Oh my God, Emily, that's my sweet Emily. I love you, girl. You are absolutely right. Betty Broderick. I think I've made videos calling my ex, I don't even know what to call that person, the covert narcissist, and her new person, I called them Jodi Arias and Betty Broderick. They were two of the most mentally unstable people I had the displeasure of knowing up close. And one of them I didn't even know up close enough. She was so unstable that I had to flee. She was my friend's friend. My friend, quote unquote, y'all, with all the heaviest quotation marks. And I was like, do you not realize this is straight up demonic energy and how low vibrational and how she's going to ruin everything everything in your life and you're gonna chase her to do it. Like, she begged her to ruin her life. It was a crazy situation. But they reminded me of Jodi Arias and Betty Broderick, both delusional, both. I mean, people can say that Betty Broderick was pushed into what she did from narcissistic abuse. And I can understand that. And she was blunt. And I actually think that the other adjacent girl was very Betty Broderick. She was in an abusive marriage, allegedly, and she was an abusive person herself, came from abuse, and so she can only give what she got. I would say that the person that I knew, Emily, was more like Jodi Arias, freaking psychopath that would try to lie right to your face. Like, remember when Jodi Arias is like, all of my other boyfriends are still alive? Like, that sums up the person I was dealing with. Like, yeah, I guess it's great. Anyway, so thank you guys. It was so good to chat with you. Release your own self-hate because you had to walk away, or your disappointment in yourself. I think you did what is called survival tactics. I think Bear Grylls would be proud, okay? I don't think that you were supposed to stay in a relationship by yourself. That's what I realized at the end of my situation is, oh my God, she had me loving on her with all my juicy empath love and energy. And then she had whatever her supply was giving her, sexual connection, whatever she needed from the supply that she extracted, validation, chasing clout for nothing, whatever, high school reincarnation. I don't know what crazy shit was going through their mind, guys. But I remember that's another thing that causes rage, just being like, nah, not anymore, not on my watch. You're not going to extract the best of me, and whatever the case may be. You have to release that. And that's when I no longer felt guilty, because she was having a full relationship. She was it was like one of those Lifetime movies. Maybe that's why Betty Broderick and Meredith Baxter came up. But she had a second family. She had a separate family. I don't know if it was second. I don't know what I would call us, but she had a family, and it was like a Lifetime movie. It was like one of those moments where you're like, oh my God, you've been living a full double life right in front of my face. It was astounding. So of course I was going to walk away, because she was not someone that can balance. Most narcissists, toxic people don't do two things well. Empaths, we do. We're really good at balancing and juggling. And that's one of the side effects of our people pleasing. When we get that healthy and we turn it around, the people pleasing is what holds us down, but it's also what keeps us around. Like, it's like a double-edged sword. From juggling and doing all the people pleasing we did, we get really good at whatever version of emotional multitasking needs to be done later. So I don't want you to see everything you learn from your narcissist as a detrimental lesson. It really turns out quite well. But yeah, they're not good at balancing anything. So you're often left alone in a relationship, because they put all of their eggs into the new supply basket, because they want to make sure that it sticks beside them and whatever, not realizing all the things we all know here as empaths, how that will go eventually. But it does mean you are left there abandoned. And that's what I realized, that my narcissist wanted me to be abandoned. She wanted me to feel absolutely and utterly alone, like she wanted it to be known, and that's why I'm like, you gotta go. Like, what mind game are we playing here? Clearly I'm by myself. I don't have a partner, so why would I stay? So that you can have two. It was crazy to me. Anyway, guys, that's what you need to do. Ask a self-inventory. You didn't leave anybody. They abandoned you. I love you guys so much. Come back and join me next time, and we'll continue to evolve together.